The morning sun had barely risen when Daniel stepped into the grand estate carrying his gardening tools. Every flower, tree, and hedge on the billionaire's property seemed to bloom under his careful hands. Though he earned little, he took pride in his work, believing that honest labor was a blessing. The mansion servants respected him because he never complained, even when the work was exhausting. Unknown to Daniel, someone had been watching him every day. Isabella, the billionaire's only daughter, often stood on the balcony pretending to read a book while secretly admiring the humble gardener. Unlike the wealthy men who constantly tried to impress her with expensive gifts, Daniel treated every living thing with kindness. He spoke gently to flowers, rescued injured birds, and smiled warmly at everyone he met. One afternoon, Isabella gathered the courage to approach him in the rose garden. "The roses are beautiful," she said softly. Daniel quickly lowered his head. "Thank you, Miss Isabella. Nature does most of the work. I only help it grow." His humility made her smile. Their conversation lasted only a few minutes, but it marked the beginning of an unexpected friendship. As the weeks passed, Isabella found excuses to visit the gardens. She brought him water on hot afternoons, asked him about plants, and listened as he shared stories from his simple village life. Soon, friendship turned into love. Daniel knew their relationship could never be accepted. "Your father will never allow this," he warned. "I don't care about his money," Isabella replied. "I care about your heart." They promised to keep their love a secret until the right time. But secrets rarely stay hidden for long. One evening, the billionaire, Mr. Richard Lawson, noticed his daughter smiling as she returned from the gardens. Suspicious, he ordered his security guards to investigate. The next morning, they secretly followed Isabella and witnessed the couple holding hands beneath a large mango tree. Furious, Mr. Lawson exploded with rage. "My daughter will never marry a poor gardener," he shouted. Without listening to a single explanation, he accused Daniel of manipulating Isabella for wealth. Security guards grabbed the frightened gardener, handcuffed him, and took him away while the estate workers watched in silence. Isabella screamed and begged her father to stop. "He loves me because of who I am, not because of your money." But her father ignored every word. Daniel was thrown into a cold prison cell, accused of trespassing and fraud through false influence. Alone in the darkness, he feared he would never see Isabella again. Yet even there, he refused to hate the man who had destroyed his happiness. Holding on to hope, Daniel whispered to himself, "True love cannot be locked behind iron bars." Little did he know, Isabella had already begun planning something so bold that it would change all of their lives forever. The billionaire believed he had ended the relationship once and for all, but his daughter's next move would shock not only him, but the entire city. As news of Daniel's arrest spread through the city, people whispered that the billionaire had gone too far. Some believed Daniel had been chasing wealth, while others who knew him defended his honesty. Inside the prison, Daniel spent his days helping older inmates clean their cells and encouraging those who had lost hope. Even in chains, his kindness never disappeared. Meanwhile, Isabella refused to eat or speak to her father. Mr. Lawson tried to comfort her with expensive gifts, luxury vacations, and promises of introducing her to wealthy businessmen. But she rejected everything. "You can buy houses, cars, and companies," she told him with tears in her eyes, "but you can never buy my heart." Her words echoed through the mansion. Determined to prove Daniel's innocence, Isabella secretly visited the estate workers. One by one, they shared stories about the gardener's generosity. An elderly maid revealed that Daniel had once paid for her grandson's school books. The head chef admitted Daniel often skipped lunch to give his food to hungry children outside the estate gates. Even the security guards confessed that Daniel had never stolen so much as a single flower. Isabella gathered written statements from everyone willing to speak the truth. Then she visited the local police station with a respected lawyer. The lawyer carefully reviewed Daniel's case and frowned. "There is almost no evidence against him," he said. "These charges appear to have been made out of anger rather than fact." Within days, the case reached the courtroom. The courtroom was packed with journalists, townspeople, and curious neighbors eager to see what would happen. Mr. Lawson entered confidently, believing his influence would guarantee victory. Then something unexpected happened. When the judge asked whether anyone wished to testify for Daniel, dozens of people stood up. An old woman described how Daniel repaired her broken fence without asking for payment. A young student explained how Daniel had encouraged him to stay in school. Several workers praised his honesty and kindness. One witness after another painted the picture of a man whose greatest crime was loving someone beyond his social class. Finally, Isabella walked to the witness stand. The room fell silent. "I love Daniel," she declared with confidence. "He never asked me for money. In fact, he tried many times to end our friendship because he feared my father's reaction. If anyone should be blamed, it is me, because I chose him." Her fearless confession stunned everyone. Even Mr. Lawson lowered his eyes. After reviewing the evidence, the judge delivered the verdict. Daniel is innocent of all charges. He is to be released immediately. The courtroom erupted in applause. Daniel stepped out of the prison gates a free man. Isabella ran toward him and embraced him as tears filled both their eyes. Reporters captured the emotional reunion, and by the next morning their story had spread across the country. Standing alone outside the courthouse, Mr. Lawson realized that all his wealth had failed to win the one thing that truly mattered, his daughter's trust. For the first time in his life, he began to wonder whether pride had cost him far more than money ever could. He knew he had one final chance to make things right, but the decision he was about to make would surprise everyone. Mr. Lawson returned to his mansion in complete silence. The grand halls that once filled him with pride now felt empty. Every award on the wall and every expensive painting reminded him that success meant little if he had lost the love and respect of his only daughter. That evening, he sat alone in the rose garden where Daniel had spent years caring for every flower. For the first time, he noticed how beautiful the garden truly was. He realized it had flourished because of the same kindness he had tried to destroy. The following morning, Mr. Lawson invited Daniel and Isabella to the estate. Daniel hesitated. "After everything that has happened, are you sure we should go?" he asked. Isabella smiled gently. "Everyone deserves a chance to change." When they arrived, they found the billionaire waiting with no security guards, no lawyers, and no signs of his usual arrogance. He slowly walked toward Daniel. "I have spent my entire life believing money could solve every problem," Mr. Lawson admitted. "But I nearly lost my daughter because of my pride. Daniel, I treated you unfairly. I judged your pocket instead of your character. Will you forgive me?" The entire household watched in silence. Daniel looked at the man who had once thrown him into prison. He remembered the lonely nights behind bars, yet he also remembered the values his late mother had taught him. "A heart that cannot forgive will never find peace," she used to say. Daniel extended his hand. "I forgive you." Tears filled Mr. Lawson's eyes as he shook Daniel's hand. The servants burst into applause, many of them wiping tears from their faces. A few weeks later, Mr. Lawson organized a grand engagement ceremony for Daniel and Isabella. The same people who had once mocked the poor gardener now praised his honesty and humility. Guests traveled from nearby towns to witness the celebration, amazed that the billionaire had accepted the young man he once considered unworthy. During the ceremony, Mr. Lawson surprised everyone once again. Instead of giving Daniel a luxury car or a mansion, he handed him the legal documents to the estate's botanical foundation. "I built businesses," he said. "But you know how to grow life. I want you to lead this foundation and help young people learn farming, gardening, and environmental care." Daniel accepted with gratitude. Over the years, the foundation created jobs for hundreds of struggling families. Children received free agricultural training, widows found employment, and abandoned land was transformed into beautiful community gardens. People no longer remembered Daniel as the poor gardener who was imprisoned. They remembered him as the man whose kindness changed even the hardest heart. As for Isabella, she stood proudly beside her husband, proving that true love is measured not by wealth or status but by loyalty, courage, and compassion. The billionaire also became a different man. He used his fortune to support schools, hospitals, and community projects, often saying, "The greatest investment is in people, not possessions." And so, the love that many tried to bury became the seed of hope for an entire community. Moral of the story: never judge a person by their wealth. True character, humility, and love are treasures that no amount of money can buy. Sometimes, the poorest person in the room has the richest heart.